This computer says 6:57, phone says 7:01. We'll go ahead and call this special meeting to order, the Caledonia Township Planning Commission. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll do a roll call.
Lamont.
Here.
Sobek.
Here.
Leclerc.
Here.
McKinnon.
Here.
Martin.
Okay, we have a quorum. We have an agenda tonight. Any subtractions, additions, modifications? Or motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I second it.
Got a motion by Anthony, second by Barb. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have minutes from September 9th, 2024.
The only thing I've seen is under the board of trustee reports, it's Newport John Company.
Any other changes, modifications?
Just Newport John Company instead of just Newport John.
Anything else? Nothing else, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Got a motion by Ken, second by Ryan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Public comment time. Do you have anything to say?
Oh, I just come for a visit. I'm all set. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, I need to go out and see what's going on with you guys.
Thank you.
This is a wild walk.
Anybody else? Okay, well, close public comment period. No written correspondence tonight. Some reports, board of trustees.
We meet this Wednesday at 7. Wednesday's the night.
Oh. Okay. Zoning Board of Appeals, we had no meeting since our last meeting. Zoning Administrator is not here. Tri-Township Planning meeting, we have, haven't had a meeting, but we do have one coming up the 17th, which is next week. And that is at the Haas Township Hall.
What is that?
It's the South Shore Fire Department. I don't know where cousin is.
Okay, having no new business, we'll go back to the old business, new zoning ordinance. I passed out two packets. And I must have passed out too much of my own stuff because I only have one, but I can look at the ordinance itself. From our last meeting we had, I'll just go with, I'm going to start with the part that says section 2.1. That was the changes in red. I had a conference call, you weren't on that, Nick was on it for a little bit, with Denise talking about the changes that we had talked about at our last meeting, and changes are shown in red on this. We did incorporate the change part that you had mentioned on the definitions. I looked through these, I think they look pretty good. She did add a little bit of verbiage on the second page under non-conforming buildings. C2 and 3, she did some small changes there in addition to what we had talked about, just to kind of clarify the language a little bit. And then C3, that was pretty much what we had talked about before in our last meeting, the 3 conditions. And she also, she added that part way at the end, 2 and 3, the last page of this. Under zoning permit in section 9.2, there was we had discussed the, at our last meeting also, the item with respect to if, for new buildings, if you're gonna, we were talking about the size of the removal of an existing structure, and we talked about 50% of the structure. Originally, she had it just in the nonconformities. And she added that, put it in section 9.2, so it covers not only nonconformities now, but it covers everything. So if somebody if you have an existing house that's completely within the setbacks and you tear down half of that house, it's no longer considered an addition, it's considered a new build. So that 50% kicks in there. So it's not just if the house is in the setback, in that portion of the house. And that's where she added that in, to keep it more general rather than specifically in nonconformities. And then the second one, I'm gonna have to go back and look at the second page, section Article 7. Yeah, yours are going to be in red, mine are not. I'm going to go by memory a little bit here, but I can actually shoot out yours too.
Nothing in red in mine.
Nope. Okay, there was, we had on page 746. There was a couple items in here. She added that little sketch that was based on the little sketch that I drafted in a meeting a few meetings ago with respect to the distance of a fence and berms. That's on here. She was also right under that sketch. She added 3 and 4. One was 3 is natural vegetation may be counted towards screening requirements. In other words, we basically said if we have an existing wooded area, we don't want to cut down woods to create a berm. And then item number 4 in there was the planning commission may reduce, waive, or alter screening requirements, provided that any such adjustment is keeping in with the intent of the ordinance. In other words, if something comes up and we want to do something different, it gives us a little bit of flexibility. So, and she did have, without seeing it in red, she was looking at performance guarantee. No, it wasn't performance guarantee. It was deposits for On 744, the bottom line, escrow account. We had asked her to set this up so that an applicant, this was something that I kind of pushed for a little bit. I prefer in my daily life when I submit an application to a community, they always send that application out to a consultant, an engineering consultant and a planning consultant. And then that consultant makes a recommendation back to the planning commission, the township. And they go through and look at our ordinance and look at the site plan application, or in this case, a land use application. And we get a outside opinion that comes to us and says, this is good, or this isn't good, or this is where they may be lacking, and this is what we do. And they would typically make a recommendation to us. And it kind of takes a little bit of the heat off of us. It gives us a third set of eyes to look at it, aside from just us. And so I asked Denise to put in here, and it doesn't say a specific amount, but section 9.7 probably does, but it's probably, I'm gonna go with just because I haven't done it yet. Okay, yeah, the amount of the zoning fees shall cover the cost of these reviews, but that's not the escrow. Yeah, it might be. And she actually added a big paragraph in here. To assist in defraying the cost of investigating, reviewing, and administering zoning applications, appeals, rezoning requests, and individual property owners and other type of decisions would result in the extra cost of the township board may adopt a resolution, by resolution, a fee schedule establishing the basic zoning fees relating to special land use permits in this case, which is what is solar I'm thinking of if they come in. That's something, Anthony, that we should probably have the township board look at doing, looking at what the board would like to see. 9.7. Denise did say that, is it Guston Township has got one, an application in right now? And I think she said they were 10,000. But that's totally up to.
That's a paying requirement?
That's what the applicant in Guston had asked, or was required to post. Yeah. Yeah, Guston's got one in right now, an application. I think this also talks about, the township can also ask for more. Zoning fees shall cover reviews of the application or appeal, costs associated with conducting public hearings, publishing notices in the paper, sending required notices to property owners, time spent by township staff, per diem paid to members of the planning commission, zoning board of appeals, basic zoning fees. Says if the planning commission or zoning board of appeals determines that the basic zoning fees will not cover the actual cost of the application, or if the planning commission or zoning board of appeals determines that review of the application and or participation of the review process or appeal by qualified professional planners, engineers, attorneys, or other professionals is necessary, then the applicant shall deposit with the township's treasurer such additional zoning fees in the amount determined by the planning commission or zoning board of appeals. So that kind of covers the cost. So, and unfortunately, whether it's solar or whether it's a zoning board of appeals application, it's hard to tell what the costs are until you actually get an application. So she kind of left it to the point where it's basically the board could ask for an applicant, especially a big one, to post a certain amount of money. And that's basically, I don't like to call it a piggy bank, but it's a deposit that can be drawn upon. They would put that up front, and then it's drawn upon, and if it runs low, then the township can ask them for more. So that was the big thing, just to keep any costs associated with reviews. But I know even on the last EBA case, there was quite a few township attorney. There was, I think, 2 meetings here on that the township had to cover the cost on that. So, and I think that was pretty much it on the changes that we had discussed with Denise. I apologize, I didn't print this off with the changes in red. It was just on my memory. So with that, any discussion on those changes or any other items that you guys can think of that we may have missed? The one good thing that came out of the, we were supposed to have a public hearing at last month's meeting. The one good thing that came out of that was the zoning board of appeals decision kind of woke us up a little bit to that, you know, the ordinance needed, even the new draft ordinance needed a little bit more verbiage in it. And we were able to get that in, and the meeting didn't have, the public hearing did not happen last time because it was sent to the paper in time. It just never got published. It has to be published for 2 weeks prior to the public hearing. And the day that the Oklahoma paper came out that it should have been published, I looked and I called the supervisor and said, hey, this isn't in there. And she was calling me at the same time. We both looked at all the same time and noticed it wasn't in there. So she actually talked to Denise, and Denise recommended that we postpone the public hearing and renotice it. So that's why we came back last month and looked at these changes, and now it's, at this point, it's ready to go. If you folks all feel comfortable with it, we could make we could refer this on and set a public hearing on it. So the earliest we could do a public hearing on this ordinance, in order to get it published correctly, it would have to be submitted to the paper this week, and it would have to be published on the 15th and 22nd issues of the Oklahoma paper. So we could put it anytime after the 22nd. We could have it on our normal scheduled meeting, which I believe is November 11th. We can do that. I will not be here for that. I'm going to be out of town. So we can either do it as early as the 28th, or we can do it on the 11th, and you're in charge then. Which I have no problem.
28th this month? I will not be there yet.
And then that we could move our November meeting.
Yeah, the 4th is the night before the election. We can move it any time during the week of the 28th. Yeah, I'm gonna be gone the first week of November. 11th, it'll be a push for me to get back to that when I could, if I had to.
Does it have to be on the
No, it does not. I personally like Thursday myself, but maybe early. So having no other comments on that, I guess I would be looking for a motion to set a public hearing. Unless anybody else has anything they'd like to add or adjust, modify, whatever. We could do it if we want to do it sooner than later, we can do it the week of the 28th, like the 31st, which is Halloween, so that really doesn't work. We could do it the week of the 4th. I won't be here. Right. And I'll be back on the 10th, but the 11th is going to be a zoo for me now. So,
About the 18th, or so.
November.
That's Tuesday.
Oh, good, that's right. Well, maybe we should go back to like the 13th then.
Well, I think the,
Was it 14th, then people be leaving?
yeah,
That's pushing.
I'm thinking if we did it,
13th is gonna be a board meeting,
okay.
second Wednesday.
I'm thinking that if we did it, yeah, in October, we could do it on the 24th. That's a Thursday. We shouldn't have public hearings on a Friday. Mondays are okay, but Fridays definitely not.
We're gonna have meetings that night, 11.
We would have, yes, but we probably wouldn't, we could probably cancel the 11th meeting, depending on what we have. Because we have a tri-township meeting on the 15th. I don't anticipate we'll have a whole lot of tri-township discussion out of that meeting. We could do it the week of the 28th. If you want me here.
Not okay.
We're getting too close to Halloween, the latter part of that week. I'm gone that week. November 14th?
No, October.
October
Oh,
14th is
that's
too
too
soon.
pushing it.
Yeah, it's gonna be too soon.
Yeah.
So it's gotta be published for 2 weeks.
Huh? Not that Tuesday.
So that was the 12th of November, pushing for your meeting back. 12th, that was pushing it to the 12th. So if you go for you now.
I can do it. It's just,
I'm just throwing it out
Tuesdays
there
are
as
a
an
little
idea,
tougher for
what
me.
matter to me.
yeah.
The 24th or the 12th,
Yeah. I think those are probably the best dates. We've got board on the 13th. Okay, well, if you're looking for a motion,
that works best for you.
the 24th works best for me. but I can do the 12th also. That doesn't matter. I definitely really prefer not to put it into the latter part of November because that's pushing us. Now all of a sudden we're getting close to Thanksgiving. And everything. Yeah. So
So you're thinking October 24th?
yeah, either October 24th or November 12th.
Yeah, works for me. Yes.
Yeah, the notice, all we have got to do is change the date on it and get it back there. You can call them ahead of time and make sure that they're going to
That
publish.
looks like you have it on Thursday.
Unless you want to do it on the, well, the 4th is, I think the 4th is not a good time.
No,
to see it
because they're gonna be
published.
set
This
up.
room's going to be all set up. And, yeah. So, yeah. So, and with Halloween being the next week. I'll leave it up. I can work with whatever. I'll work around it. So.
I'll make a motion that we have our public hearing for the new zoning ordinance on October 24th at 7 p.m.
Okay, we have a motion by Anthony, second by Ryan. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so we will have that.
That'll be 7.
Yes, I am going to, I have, this is actually a printed copy of the draft ordinance, hot off the press today. It has all of these changes. I printed it because I left my old version in my car, and I'm driving my truck today. I'm gonna have this put on the website. I'm gonna try to get it on tomorrow. It's a big read, but a lot of it is very similar to what was on it on the earlier version. So it's not a lot of new reading, but the chapters that have changed from the last version are chapter 7. With respect to solar, and chapter, where is that? Chapter 3, particularly 322 with nonconformities. Also, section 9.2. Those are the 3 biggies. One change to the definition of foundation in section 2.1.
Is there some way that they can name that to identify it, to know for sure which one you're actually looking at?
As far as the document itself,
When they upload it, because there has been the updated one on there. They took away the 2014 one, which is the current one, and it has been gone forever, and they should have never removed that.
no, it should not
Because-
have been removed.
Nope, and it's been gone for a long time. And it would be nice to know which one we are actually looking at. So if they just put down this year's, that it's there, how do I know I really have the right one?
Or what changed?
Exactly, well, they didn't make, yeah, that's frustrating as hell. We've asked for that. And they won't do anything to identify the changes between them.
I will certainly make sure that we try to get that in there. I'm looking, it's on there. The old ordinance is on there.
2014?
Uh-huh.
No, I see the 2022 and 2023.
That is on there right now.
Yeah, the
It's not
2022, I believe, is the latest and greatest one. Let me look at
No, it's 2014.
It was originally adopted in 2014, but it was amended in 2022. Yeah, that document is
Is that the one?
that's the one that,
Okay, because it doesn't, I wasn't under the impression that was the one.
Yeah, what I will do is I will try to, I'll try to change,
this top one off and put it.
yeah, we can definitely do that. I'll try to change the name of the document,
Or even
so.
the date.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll try to do something so that, I'm not sure how much, when we send it to the webmaster, I think we could change the name of the document, because he just loads it on there.
Yeah.
And I'll try to change the name of it before we send it to him.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's a very, very big document, I know that. It's forever to load, but, yeah, we'll take off the old draft. Okay, so having a public hearing set, we'll see everybody on October 24th. Next item under old business, Tri-Township master plan discussion. At our last meeting, we were all given homework. And that homework was to come back with ideas of what we want to see like in a future land use map. I believe that's what they were asking for. Were you there? Yeah, you were here. And things like, there was a lot of discussion, especially during the election cycle, about the bike path or walking path around the lake. That's obviously one that I think probably is going to be on there in some form or fashion. And the reason that I think we want to add that is because in the event that any monies come available federally or from the state, I think it would help all three townships in our area for us to have it in a master plan. In other words, we would like to see this rather than money become available and everybody else that has that in their master plan takes advantage of it, if you can't. So anything that we think that is a distinct possibility that we might want. One other thing that I thought of is, not that I'm a big snowmobiler, but I pay for 2 every year, is there snowmobile trails south of us by Barton City, and there's snowmobile trails by Osneek. What's the lake up there? Devil's Lake.
Not only snowmobiles, but ORVs in general.
Right. And we see a lot of side-by-sides. So I think that my personal opinion is I think it would be something for us to possibly add a trail system of some sort.
I believe the biggest issue with that is not having.
Right away. Yeah, it always is.
Are you waiting to connect or just our own independent or either?
No, making a connection. You can actually, I can pull it up on my computer, but I'd be the only one to see it. You can actually get on the trail system in Barton City and go to Minnesota.
I think I remember you saying.
Or Osneek. I don't know if they still have the courier service that takes you across the bridge or not.
They do.
They do. So, I just heard something, not that I would be plus or minus against it, but I heard that if you go back and consolidate it, you can get within a quarter mile of Barton City,
Probably.
all the way back. And wouldn't it be cool to have something come out from Barton City, from the trail system, come through the consolidated and work its way up into the Four Corners, the Sands,
So
or
the consolidated is not private? I thought that was all private.
it is private.
Oh, okay.
You gotta have a vision.
Okay,
So
all right.
I know that there's a lot of public land in the Upper Peninsula, but there's also a lot of private land because the trails close down. They're only open for a certain time of the
They
year.
have like easements
You
in
buy
certain
rights and
areas.
buy easements.
Yeah.
And,
Even in Barton City, I groomed some trails and went to some private land.
yeah. So it's just something to put that idea out there.
I think that land behind the shield, that's on 32, I think that's all private, it's easement from the cement plant.
So it's just a thought. That was one idea that I had. But
Very cool, for
I'm getting too old for that, but great for you and your kids.
sure. Never too old to go side by side.
Oh, that's true. So, But does anybody else have any ideas?
I know from the survey, a lot of people talk about recycling center. That could be something to put down, you know, something that there might be funds for at some point.
I don't know that the Tri-Township is the place to put it, but I've always, no, recycle I think is a great idea. Another idea that I thought of was something with the Four Corners area. I mean, I've talked about a downtown development area, but that's kind of just us. Maybe Osneed Township, but I don't think that's a Tri-Township thing. The only other thing that I thought of a little bit was, I know that we have the township has a parks committee, do we? Or no? Would maybe be some type of parks committee to kind of help initiate some ideas to get community involvement. I know that we've had the bands at the north end, I think, and that might just be something that we in Caledonia want to pursue as an idea, or not, or put it out there for the other two townships. The other two townships don't really have a lot of, I don't think they have a lot of public land out of water, but I don't know what they have. I should know Wacona's that grew up there.
And would it be more of the sports and stuff? Would that be kind of intermixing?
I don't know, I'm thinking, you know, when we saw the pickleball thing, I thought that was pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
And get more opportunity to get a parks committee to get more people involved and get ideas out there for things.
I'm not saying, I'm not against it, but I was just
I've
wondering
already
if that
put
would
you
be
on
more of
this
a
heading, Matt.
sportsman's club versus
Yeah.
township.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not too familiar with the sportsman club. I think of that, I think of hunting and fishing, but.
Yeah.
So. And maybe something also involving to get the township, and I don't know if it's good or bad or indifferent, but get involved a little bit more with putting the heads together between the township and the community association. I don't know the answer to that. That might be something. I'm not involved in the township enough to know, you might know that more, but as far as just getting people involved and getting resources back to this community, so everybody kind of encourage growing our Four Corners area a little bit more, getting people more involved. I go back to the old days when I was a young kid in Black River. We always had the New Year's Day thing, and your parents were involved in that kind of. There's a lot of different things that, you know, community involvement things that you can do that are not just, not that it's not important, but go help the cemetery, but go do other things to get people involved and meeting each other. So that was only my only ideas. So just trying to throw things out there. So. But if anybody can think of anything between now and next Thursday, if you want to come, if you're coming to the meeting, great, bring it up then, and if not, let me or one of us know, and we'll bring it up. So. Any other items on discussion on that?
Caledonia Township doesn't give anything to the north end park, do they at all, or?
What do you mean?
And that's, you know, it's across.
Oh, the Lions Park?
Yeah, Lions Park, no.
Different county, different everything.
Yeah,
But it seems like there's
it just seems like it's so close and it's a good spot to put money as far as pickleball courts.
See, there's
You know,
a new one there.
Is there a new one there now? Because I'm surprised the one in Black River, they changed the tennis thing there, and actually see people there using it, playing pickleball. I'm like, that's good, at least somebody's using it.
That's what they did at the Lions Park too.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. At least somebody's using it for something.
Yeah.
It's because he's turned the other way, it's like a girl.
Yeah, so any ideas that, email us if you folks have any ideas, something that we can bring up at the Tri-Township meeting. Because this is where we might be able to get some things moving a little bit, so. And obviously you have to have a dream and a vision in order to be able to make something work, and it's not to say that it would ever happen, but you can't get to the finish line unless you cross the starting line. With that, anybody else have any comments? Having none, our next meeting will be Tri-Township meeting on October 17th, 7 p.m. at the Hawes Township Hall. We will have a township public hearing on October 24th here.
What time?
It's 7 p.m. And then our next regularly scheduled meeting would be on November 11th at 7 p.m. We may call that meeting the October 24th meeting. We may call that as, it'll be a special meeting, but we may do a public hearing and a special meeting at that one. I'm thinking if we have nothing on the November meeting, then we could set our calendar for next year at that October meeting. Because of our, I'm just trying to think if we would have to set any other meetings in 2024. We may have, just depending on what happens, we may have to set some. We may have to have that meeting, but at least if we have a special meeting before November 11th, we may be able to cancel that one. So, just trying to think of when that would go to the county, it comes back, but I think it goes automatically to the board. It doesn't affect us, it goes right to the board. So,
It's like to go to county for 30 days.
right. Yeah. Unless they act on it, which they never have. So, the only other comment that I have is I passed out the, this is, I just printed off copies of the new zoning map. This is just reflective of things that we've been talking about for the last few months. You can put it in your books. Just a little bit larger copy. I did ask Denise if she could have the zoning map as a separate tab on her website. And she's gonna do that. It'll probably still be in our ordinance, but it'll be the official. The official one will be a separate tab, so it's easier to get to, you don't have to dig through the ordinance to get it. So. And with that, that's all I have. So I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second. Anthony and Ryan. All in favor, say aye. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, and just a quick question. It's only gonna be called a special meeting just because it's not a normal meeting and it's gonna be regarding the zoning ordinance.
Correct.
That's it.
See, what happened was in November, we typically set
Right.
meeting dates for the next year, and we set them every other month.
Right.
So,
I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't something else that was being addressed here in the special.
no.
That's all.
No, what we did, we had a special meeting before, and it was only for a certain thing, I can't remember which meeting it was. But if we're gonna get together, it's nice to do business.
Right.
And to be honest with you, we've been working on this ordinance for so long, I feel like we're at the finish line, it'd be nice to get it done.
Right.
Push it over the finish line, so, and that's a big thing for us,
Absolutely.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, the special meeting is nothing more than, it would almost like be called a regular meeting, public meeting.
And that was kind of my take on it, but I just wanted to make sure there wasn't something in addition that was
No,
being addressed.
no.
Okay.
And in an agenda, we'll push the agenda out just so we don't do it. So,
Thank you.
Thanks for coming up.
Yes, well, yes.
Good.
Mayor and I.
I don't think Tom made too much of a mess there.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I said, I don't think you made too much of a mess of the lot there. We'll probably leave them set up for one.
Oh, okay. So this was a special meeting or that? This one was a regular meeting?
We had to call it a special meeting because we already set the dates.
It was an extra.
It's kind of just an extra.
I was on another one of these, and there was a big crowd here, but that's because there was something going on.
Yeah.
Except the person was a wild light. I just want to get all out and see what you guys are doing.
Everybody need a fact sheet?
Yeah.
Another one?